I look centered because now? Oh, no. All good, all good.
All right, welcome to the weekend wrap up with the Sportaholics. My name is Russ, and we're gonna get straight into it, man. On this episode of the weekend wrap up, what's the wildest thing you guys would do for 600K? If you were a millionaire, you would have a dope shoe game, right? Can the fastest man alive beat a cheetah? And speaking of football players, some of these guys are already in midseason form. That plus more on this weekend wrap up with the Sportaholics. Let's get to it. Payton. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I cannot complain, bro. I'm tired, but I'm here and I'm happy to get to it, man. How was your weekend?
You know, it was pretty good, man. I was also going to let the audience know that quick disclaimer, Russ is a workaholic in the gym. Not only is he a sportaholic, he's a workaholic in the gym. And as he knows, I've got some back issues right now, and I think it's his doing. But, hey, that's on me. I got to strengthen up my core. I just got to be ready for the next workout, you know?
Hey, listen, I just want everybody to know I've been trying to get Payton in the gym. I work out. How many ever days a week I work out, it is not important. But Payton works out once a week. So hopefully we can get him in the gym a little bit more often than that. And maybe he can keep up with me. So, yeah, did you have a chance to catch any sports this weekend, man?
Oh, yeah, a little bit of preseason action, you know, especially that Chiefs-Lions game. I was watching that. How about you?
Oh, man, I got plenty of sports this weekend, not even going to lie to you. I saw the Steelers game. Of course, I had to watch my Miami Dolphins. You know, I watched some highlights of the WNBA action that happened over the weekend. So, yeah, man, I'm just ready to kind of jump into it and jump into some of these headlines. What you say?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right. So for you guys that have not been aware, man, some news broke this weekend dealing with Colorado State and their quarterback and their receiver. But I guess the ultimate question would be, what would you guys do for 600K? I think that's the most important thing here. And I'll let Payton chime back in on this. Payton, did you hear the story about the guys surrendering 600K and not entering the transfer portal out at Colorado State?
Yeah, I did hear about that story, man. It's an interesting one. It seems like those two players, the quarterback and the receiver in Braden Fowler, Nicolosi, and Torrey Horton, they're almost like setting a new precedent for the way college athletes should approach being college athletes, if you will.
100%. So I will say, most people like myself, I thought this was a very easy decision to make, man. You offer me 600K, I'm not gonna flinch at it. You know, I don't. Between me and you, bro, I don't really care what I have to do to get that 600K. Well, maybe I do have a little bit. Some things I probably wouldn't do for 600K, but all I'm saying is if I had to enter a transfer portal and change schools, for me, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So Nicolosi and Horton, they were offered 600K to go to Ole Miss, Texas A&M, or some of the schools that were trying to poach them, as well as Kansas State. So I think, like you said earlier, they're setting the precedents for where NIL is right now and where it should be in the future. And I got to commend these guys. You know, I got to commend these guys for staying humble and sticking to their roots.
Yeah, and I mean, Torrey, he's an upperclassman. He must see the value in what they're building at Colorado State, and he not only sees a bright future for himself there, but a bright future for the team this year. And ultimately, if they can perform at a high level, that's only going to increase his draft stock as a player, which helps him out at the next level. So,
yeah, I mean, these guys are very confident in their abilities, and BFN, as the CSU fans would call him, the quarterback. He's a young stud. He got some time to play last year, and he did pretty well. He threw for over 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns as a redshirt freshman. So he's going into his redshirt sophomore year, and he's expecting big things from himself. He even, predicted that they can potentially go to the playoffs. So I'm interested in seeing what Colorado State does. He wants them to go 12-0, but their first matchup of the season is against the number 4 ranked Texas Longhorns. So we'll see what happens with that 12-0 real soon. I'm not gonna lie, I'm an underdog guy myself. So if they can potentially beat Texas, I think that shakes up the top 5 right there in the first weekend. I'm always looking for that at the end of the day. So
they certainly put themselves on the map with this story, especially. So that they're a little team to watch out for, if you will.
So I will say this is not the first time that this story has come out. This story has broke in 2023, December of 2023. So it's almost a year old at this point. But it keeps getting hype and buzz at different times within the year. So like we said, this is a good precedence for where players should actually think, because we know that money is not guaranteed when it comes to signing that NIL deal. They might sign that NIL deal, and once they get to whatever school they choose, the money might not be there, or a different price may be set, and so on and so forth. And they made this decision, and now they're just getting hopes and dreams. It's not a guaranteed contract. So big ups to those guys, man. Big ups to those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of while we're staying on the topic of football, the one thing I did want to talk about, we seen some of these guys perform over the weekend in their second preseason game. So we seen some not so good play, but we also seen some players who seem like they're in mid-season form, man. Do you want to touch on some of those guys that you thought were top performers for the weekend?
Well, I'll just start with the game I was watching with the Chiefs and the Lions. And, Pat Mahomes played nearly a whole half of football. We all know about the behind-the-back pass, which, by the way, I mean, when he first got interviewed about the behind-the-back pass, I thought he was straight up being coy with the media, messing around with them. But then, you know what? He backed it up, because he explained himself in the press conference later on. And I think it truly was an ad-libbing play that he just made on the fly, which is really impressive. So,
yeah, no, 100%. I was calling cap all weekend. I'm like, this man is lying, talking about he didn't do it on purpose. Payton, when I tell you, we've seen footage of him doing that in practice. But to back up your point, he came out and he was like, listen, I'm not going to do it if it doesn't feel natural. And I guess in that instance, he definitely felt like it was something that he had to do. Going back to your point in the press conference, he was like, if you look at the play, which I did, I looked at it like 10, 11 times. When I looked at it, you can see that he was saying something to Travis Kelce, like, yo, you ran the wrong route, whatever the case may be. But had he thrown that ball overhand, sidearm, whatever the case may be, he would not have been able to complete that pass. And in that instance, the only thing that seemed like he was able to do was to throw it behind the back, and they completed it for a first down. So,
yeah. And the other thing I'll say about it, man, is the bigger takeaway for me is that right now the Chiefs are on top of the league, and they're really doing whatever they want. So it's really a challenge to the rest of the league to step up to the plate and see if they can compete on the Chiefs level, because with just the energy around the team, the buzz around the team, the fact that they're trying to go for a three-peat, you can tell it's not like they're full of themselves, but they're just on top of the league, simply put. So let's see who the challengers are going to be this season.
Yeah, and more to your point, not only was the behind the back pass just a sight to see, and that's something that's mind-blowing, because I cannot recall ever in my lifetime that I've ever seen a quarterback throw the ball behind the back and complete the pass. So with that being said, the deep ball was on display, and not only from Patrick Mahomes, but also from the backups as well. Like they had a great play throughout that whole preseason game. So we have big expectations for the Chiefs, and it's up to the rest of the NFL to come and dethrone them.
Absolutely,
so,
man.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. What do you say? Three-peat?
Oh, I'm hesitant to go there. I'll take the field for now. We'll watch the first couple of weekends, but right now I'll take the field. What say you?
I've learned to not bet against Patrick Mahomes. I'm not gonna bet against Pat Mahomes, especially in the postseason. But I'm with you, bro. I think it's a little bit too early to call. But I think a three-peat would be a bold prediction, and something that most people can, figure as a safe bet. If I had to bet my futures right now, I would say Chiefs would be a safe bet, especially after what they showed in preseason.
They're not slowing down. They're not slowing down.
Not at all. And, I think in a few years we'll be comparing Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady, especially in a three-peat, But that's another topic for another day. While we're on the topic of quarterbacks, man, I was watching Caleb Williams, a little bit of Caleb Williams this weekend, and I thought that he had a stellar game. But I'm gonna be a little bit critical of Caleb Williams in the Chicago Bears organization right now. I think that Caleb Williams is a great talent, but what I will say is the way that he plays the game is not something that they would want to see from a week-to-week basis with him scrambling and running around on the football field the way that he does. Now, they did come out. They had a flat first quarter, and the first half of the second quarter, it was a little flat, but they picked it up going into halftime right before, Caleb Williams and everybody took their shoulder pads off and enjoyed the rest of the day out in the sun, whatever. Yeah. I think he has the ability to create plays, and we were just talking about Patrick Mahomes. He has the ability to create plays like Patrick Mahomes does on the fly. So this was another player that I feel like is in mid-season form. I think he never took the season off, if that makes sense, because it feels like he picked up right where he left off when he left USC. So what was some of your take on Caleb Williams' performance this past weekend?
He certainly had some spectacular plays, but I will say I feel like this is an opportunity to dive even deeper into that conversation about, how much can we really take from the preseason? Is it applicable towards the regular season? And, the viewers can tell, I'm pretty sure the players can tell, there is just something different about the preseason. I mean, even the way the media covers the games, we talk about it differently. So obviously the games don't count, but what about the intensity in general? I mean, you can talk about the vanilla defenses that teams play, the facts that not all the stars play in the games, but just the intensity and the feel around the game. So like you said, Caleb is an incredible talent. We just don't know how he's going to perform in those games yet. And I will say, and Russ, you and I talked about this in the first episode. After watching Hard Knocks, the big key for me with Caleb is just watching how he effectively communicates with his teammates, just because I think he's a different type of cat. I think he's a little bit more to himself than people realize. So we know he's got the God-given ability. Even when he throws the ball, he does look like Patrick Mahomes. There are shades of Mahomes, as everyone has really talked about. That is his comp. But we just don't know yet, and that's okay. We're going to find out here pretty soon.
Yeah, so I think the one thing that that I can go back to is you said it's not sustainable throughout the regular season, and I agree with that 100%. If it leads to wins, okay. If it leads to wins, then fine. But over a long span of a career as an NFL quarterback, even over the span of a season, I don't think that this is something that the organization would want to see. Yes, of course, fans want to see these spectacular plays. They want to see him evade defensive linemen and linebackers that are coming in on the blitz and throw the ball deep like he did. And I will say I'm amazed at how accurate he is when he delivers the ball on the run, cross body throws. So that's something that gets me up out my seat and opens my eyes. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. But I do want to think about, one, his safety, two, how long he can do this from a week to week basis. Because going back to his safety, I think there are certain defensive linemen and linebackers that are watching the game and they're like, man. And the longer that we have more film on Caleb Williams, not only do we have college tape, but now we're getting preseason games that are like stacking up on top of each other, and they're creating a database where defenses are licking their chops saying, okay, if Caleb Williams reverse field, we got to have somebody that's there waiting on him. And we have plenty of aggressive defensive-minded coaches in the NFL that can, plan against these type of things and take away some of his strengths. So he's going to have to figure out a way to actually stay in the pocket. Not only that, Payton, another thing is, if he's scrambling like this on a day-to-day basis, game-to-game basis, what does that say about the offensive line and the running backs picking up the chip blocks off the edge? Like, is this a bigger problem for the Chicago Bears, or is it nothing to really worry about because that's exactly how Caleb Williams plays the game?
I think that's a good point, and I'm not as worried about their offensive line as I am Caleb's habits on his own, because oftentimes as you see him escape the pocket, sometimes it's not really that necessary, and he just wants to get out of the pocket and make a throw on the run. So at this point, I'm not as concerned about the O-line, and more so Caleb playing the quick game and getting more used to getting the ball out of his hands quickly. That's what I would say.
I hear you 100%. So I will say this. So my quarterback of my Miami Dolphins, he had a good showing in the first drive of the game. Like, he didn't play any more than that. But this is also a quarterback that I'm not really too concerned with him running outside the pocket, because we all know where Tua is on the radar of the health chart and so on and so forth. Like, we're being very protective of Tua because we know his history. So, but with that being said, this is another guy that I will put in midseason form. He had a wonderful ball to the back of the end zone on the sideline catch to River Craycraft in the first quarter of their game versus the Commanders. So, did you notice anything else about? Did you have an opportunity to catch the Dolphins game?
I saw highlights of the Dolphins game against the Commanders. Yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good pass, and I like the fact that he's feeling good. He was dancing after the whole thing. So this is something I just had to put that in there because I'm looking forward to where my Miami Dolphins are going to go this season. All right, I did say that I'm gonna try not to be biased, but Payton, man, I mean, come on.
Hey, you got to lean into it. You can be yourself, no doubt. I mean, you got to show up and show out. No, but with Tua, me and you have talked about this before. I think he is, at this point, at least slightly underrated in the NFL. You talked about the ball he threw. I mean, I watched him live last year. I think he throws an underrated deep ball. We know he doesn't have the strongest arm in the league, but there's a tight spiral there. Most of the time, he drops it in the bucket. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Dolphins can do as well after the big offseason of paying that trio between Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill. You know Mike McDaniel's going to dial it up, so you can't count them out. That's for sure.
So what I will say is that teardrop that you're talking about, that in the preseason game, that came from the pass went to River Craycraft, which is, he doesn't have Jalen Waddle's speed. He doesn't have definitely doesn't have Tyreek's speed. So is this something that we should worry about moving into the future? Because we had, like you said, I think he throws one of the most prettiest balls in the NFL, especially when it comes to that deep ball. But most of the time he is underthrowing Tyreek Hill. And I have big expectations between those two guys, to be honest with you, this year, because they have more chemistry. They've had more time together. So I'm actually expecting more from them this year. But do you think this is going to continue to be a problem for Tua when he goes to the deep ball to Tyreek Hill?
I would say oftentimes it is going to depend on the conditions. We know we've heard about the fact that Tua is not the best cold weather quarterback,
Yep.
and that's something that he can work on as well.
He got to change that narrative. He has to change that narrative.
Yeah, and I think he can for the most part. I mean, well, like we've talked about, he's not going to be Josh Allen, so it's going to be it's going to look a little more dink and dunkish, if you will, for the most part. But again, I think he throws an underrated deep ball, to be honest with you.
And for me, as a fan, and not really analyst of the game at this point, but as a fan, I don't mind the dink and dumps because those are safe plays, and we know we have home run hitters. So we know Jalen Waddle could catch a 5-yard slant or a 5-yard end route and take it 60 yards up the field, as well as Tyreek Hill. So and then not only that, but the Dolphins have the tight ends and the interior to go along with it. We haven't even mentioned the backfield, the monstrous backfield that they have. So by all means, we're gonna move on from the Dolphins because I could get really hyped talking about them. You know how I get. So and I'm gonna let you have your time with your Saints too, man. We gotta do an episode on the Saints, bro. We have to do it.
We will. I got some thoughts on them. We're gonna save it for another day, but we will get to the Saints eventually.
Gotcha. So speaking of guys who are in midseason form, we have a couple guys that look like they're in off-season form. By the way, my man Danny Dimes, he out there throwing dimes, right? But to the other team, you know what I mean? Right. So, what was your thoughts on the Giants? Do the Giants have big issues lying in front of them for the next season?
Well, I hate to bring up the conversation of how much can you take away from the preseason and all that, but in most cases that we've talked about, we've been talking about high performance guys and not being sure if they can take that into the regular season. Well, what about low performance guys? I think it can be in the inverse, if you will. I mean, I think there's some, like for example, the Steelers, which is the next team we're going to talk about. They've struggled so far in the preseason. Maybe they're just getting the kinks out, working through things a bit. But the problem with the Giants is we've seen these turnovers from Daniel Jones before. So as much as I want to say, well, it's just the preseason, some of the bad habits are showing up again for Daniel Jones. So that's what I'm worried about.
I'm going to cut you off right here. So the answer to that question is yes, they have major problems moving into the regular season, okay? If you don't want to say it, I'm going to definitely be the one to say it. But Payton, look, where's my phone? I got to find my phone because I need to go to the Hard Rock app. I need to figure out whatever the Giants number is for total wins on the season. And I need to lock in that under because whatever it is, they're not going to hit it, especially if they continue to play like this. All right. So whatever it is, lock me in ASAP because they look like they're going to be riding the struggle bus all season long. All right.
Hey, I might chip in with you right there. I'm not going to lie. You've kind of sold me.
Hey, listen. I got 10 on it. If you put 10 in, maybe we can quintillion our money and turn that into like $5 million. All right. $20.
You got to start somewhere.
I'll take it.
Start somewhere.
I'll take it. But you already mentioned the Steelers, so let's go ahead and talk about the Steelers, man. So I guess I'm still being sympathetic or empathetic for the Steelers situation. But Russell Wilson nor Justin Fields had the most spectacular days, which is why they're falling under our offseason form category here, right? So the Steelers, they seem to have some trouble on the front, right? Like they're I don't know what's going on here, but they need to figure it out. I know that they had some injuries on the front of the offensive line. So I don't know what it is, but they need to work on it because they're going to have major issues moving forward in the regular season. And it's sad to say that Russell Wilson is out there looking sad. Like if you look, like I'm looking in the eyes of the quarterback, like, and he doesn't seem like he's all there. He seems very concerned And he doesn't seem like somebody who wants to play on a night-to-night basis. But yeah, that front line is looking god awful. Like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields had sacks in that game. But what I will say is they improved on the fumble snaps. Justin Fields did for sure. And in between all of that stuff, in between when Russell Wilson and Justin Fields was able to get the ball out, they had some decent balls and some decent plays that they made throughout the game. But man, Payton, is this offensive line a major concern for the Steelers organization?
They've certainly tried to invest in the offensive line in recent memory, just with first-round draft picks. So I guess I'll give them a little bit of a break there and give them some time to develop. But I'm going to actually go out on a limb here, Russ, and say that this, and I touched on this earlier, the Steelers are going to be one of those teams that don't look that great in the preseason, and then they look better in the regular season. I actually see this offense taking a step forward. And you hit on the offensive line. I think their offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, is a guy that can alleviate problems for an offensive line by way of setting up the run. So I'm looking for that. And I'm going to guess that Justin Fields is going to start week 1. That's my hunch, even though Russell Wilson was listed as the QB1 a couple of weeks ago. And I think there's more that you can do in the run game with Justin Fields as your QB1. So I'll just go out on a limb and say the Steelers are going to look better in the regular season.
And I at least I hope so. I hope that they can figure it out, because at the end of the day, Justin Fields is still growing as an NFL quarterback. But Russell Wilson, I do not want him to exit the NFL in the capacity of having the Broncos season under his books and having a terrible Steelers season. I have too much respect for Russell Wilson to go out and retire with they don't even have to make the playoffs for real, but have a respectable win-loss record. That way he can go out and say, you know what I did, and I did the best that I could. So that's just something that I'm looking. I don't want to see him go through that situation at the end of the day.
And man, like you just hit on, that very well may be the case where they're 9-8, 10-7, but the AFC is so loaded they miss out on the playoffs. So
yeah,
that could very well be the case for them. We'll see what happens.
We will. But moving right along, guys. If you haven't heard this information already, the WNBA announced that they're having their All-Star game in Indiana next year for the 2025 All-Star game. Now, my main question would be, are they trying to make up some slack for Caitlin Clark getting snubbed on the Olympic team? And I'm gonna bring Payton back in here and hear what he has to say about that. Payton, do you think the WNBA is trying to save face, man?
Yes, I think maybe so. I think it's fair to say we all wanted to see Caitlin play in the Olympics, and that may have been a missed opportunity there. And I think they could be making up for it by placing that All-Star game for next season in Indianapolis, Indiana. Caitlin's a tremendous talent, as we all know, and she's the most important thing about her is she's really fun to watch. So it was a missed opportunity. But, hey, maybe they'll make up for it and they'll have a big showing and good TV ratings for that All-Star game.
Yeah, so 100%. I agree with you. I think that WNBA is trying to save face. But I need to figure out who's at the top of the league and who's making their decisions, because I can go ahead and turn this question on. Why are they not providing the same type of attention to Angel Reese? All right, so everything that everybody does, everything Caitlin Clark does in the WNBA is typically getting compared to, or Angel Reese's name is being brought up in this situation. Not to just bring Angel Reese in this, but these are two middle of the pack teams. I mean, it's not like Indianapolis is a fun place to be. Yeah, we host the NFL combine there, and but it's not like this is a spectacular place to be. I mean, there's so many. You got Las Vegas, for instance, who's sitting at the top of the WNBA by all means, who have some of the best players on their team. So all I'm saying is, why not look at Chicago? Why not look at Las Vegas? Indiana, come on, man. It doesn't really make sense. So it's screaming, Caitlin, we feel bad for you. All right. But not only that, like this lady, they're coming back from this break, but Caitlin Clark is out on a tear, bro. I don't know if you've seen, but she broke the single game assist record, and she is playing like she has a chip on her shoulder. That's one of the main reasons why I love this lady. And I don't think that her being the face of the WNBA is a problem, because she does play like she's hungry. She does play like she needs to get something off of her chest, if that makes sense. But I don't agree with them just trying to save face just for the fact that they felt sorry for her for not making the Olympics team, because there's other players in the WNBA like Angel Reese who didn't make the team. And also, if we want to compare them to the NBA, is not too many rookies on the that actually got playing time on the Olympic squad this year. So by all means, like, it's not something that typically happens where rookies come in and they're just like, oh, they're going to be on the Olympic team. Like, these guys have been in the league for years and years. And not only that, but they've been playing on the Olympic team for years. You do have your rotating faces and everything like that. But man, I think this is, I don't think it's a terrible look for the WNBA, but it's definitely screaming, we feel bad for you.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you said, I got to catch up on the highlights, because it's a big talking point right now, and a lot of people are enjoying the WNBA. So I'm going to be looking into that. But both players having phenomenal seasons when you're talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So
100%. All right, so switching gears here, let's talk some broadcast, man. Tom Brady is going to be stepping in the booth for his first season as a broadcaster for the Fox network. How do you feel Brady will do in his first season?
I think he's going to do a great job, man. And I think everyone can expect that as well. And that's just because you expect him to approach the broadcasting booth the same way he approached his playing career, with immense preparation and immense attention to detail. So I'm excited. And I was telling you earlier, man, like, for that 4:00 window in week one of the bigger reasons I'm going to watch that Cowboys-Browns game, which is the first game he's calling, is because of him. I think there are other games at that time slot that I would be more intrigued to watch, but I want to hear what Tom Brady has to say and his analysis for the game. So what do you think?
No, I think not only is he like one of the smartest players to ever play the sport, but what I'm looking forward to is everything that he did off the field that he can bring into the booth, because this is one fun guy. Like, regardless of the fact that he's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of football, but he's a fun guy. If you look at some of the things that he's done off the field, he was just seen, clowning with Gronk at Fanatics Fest. He was just... Sorry, Payton.
Oh, all good.
Sorry, guys. Not only was he spotted with Gronk partying in Fanatics Fest, but they were clowning on their podcast all when they were in Tampa Bay. So if you ever got a chance to see them do their podcast together,
having a good time.
Exactly. And not only that, he just had a whole roasting session of himself and where he got on stage and he killed it. You know what I mean? So not only were the comedians outstanding, but when he got up there and it was time for him to go ahead and fire shots back to everybody who was firing shots at him, he held his own weight. So I don't really have too much issues. I will say, for me, his competition or his comp would be Tony Romo. And I like to think about how Tony Romo, when he's commentating games, how he calls out little things in the game and he tries to predict what should happen next, and he's in the mind of the coaches, and that goes to show you that how great of a analyst or a commentator he is. So I'm looking forward to Brady, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table and what kind of things he can do while he's in the group.
Yeah, and like I said, to me, he is the draw. Like, he's going to drive up those television ratings just on his own, no matter what game he's calling. So
100%.
Very exciting, yeah.
I agree. Who did you say that they have on the first game?
They have the Cowboys at Browns for week 1.
Yep. Okay. Like you said, there are other games that can be played that during that time. That's probably bigger games, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. There's no doubt about it. Only 2-3 weeks out, so can't wait for it.
Yeah, no worries, man. All right, so moving right along, Noah Lyles called out Tyreek Hill, the cheetah. Do you think that the fastest man on earth can beat a cheetah?
Man, so I've been waiting for you to hit this topic because I actually, believe it or not, I have a lot to say about this one. So
who you got your money on, Payton?
Oh, Tyreek. I'm going with Tyreek all day. You know what? I'll take it a step further. Tyreek wanted the 50-yard dash or 50-meter dash, whatever it was. If it went up to 100, I'm still taking Tyreek.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's my guy.
Wow, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I'm going to have to disagree with you there, man. In a 50-yard dash, I'm gonna take Tyreek all day. Shorter distance, we know that Tyreek is a guy that works on getting off the line every day.
Quick.
So by all means, and not only that, but we just watched Noah Lyles struggle getting out of the blocks but when he hits that 50-meter mark, that's his home. That's where he lives, man, and that's where he makes most of his money. So by all means, man, and not only that, bro, this man he really talking like he don't know who some of the athletes are in these sports that we watch on a day-to-day basis. He had some arguments with basketball players. He acting like he don't know who Tyreek Hill is. By all means, I think Noah Lyles really like shaking in his boots, especially for a 50-yard dash. So.
Well, that's the thing, man. I was going to say real quick, like, obviously this all started with what Lyles had to say a few months ago about the phrase being tagged world champs for NBA merchandise and memorabilia and things of that nature being printed and displayed on championship gear. And we all know that the best basketball players in the world play in the NBA. So did we really need to go there in the first place? And then later on, after Tyreek had challenged Lyles to the 50-yard dash, Lyles goes on a podcast and says that Tyreek is just chasing clout. Well, Lyles was the one chasing clout in the first place with his stance about why is there world champs printed across the championship gear. So Tyreek doesn't need any clout. Everybody knows who Tyreek Hill is. Who knew Noah Lyles was however many months ago. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. Not only that, but Tyreek Hill just got named by his peers the number 1 player in the NFL. You think people don't know who Tyreek Hill is? Come on, guy. Be real, man. Be real. All right. And not only that, and I'm not even gonna get into the controversy what happened with Noah Lyles in the Olympics. So that's a whole nother story by all means. So who's really chasing clout? You know what I mean? So in Tyreek's defense, sign the contract, bro, because we all trying to see this. This is something similar to Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. By all means, sign the contract. Let's make this thing happen, bro. Let's make it happen 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So on the side of parody, because I believe that story is a whole joke by all means. Like I really want to see it happen. Hopefully they can make it happen. But George Kittle got on at the podium and he was kind of targeting the media for their shoe game. This is where I have to be a better person and do a little bit more preparation. And I got to have the videos prepared for you, Peyton. I promise I'm going to be a better person next time. All right. I promise I'm gonna be a better person next time. But George Kittle got on stage and he was like, during special teams, I have some time where I'm on the sideline catching balls and blah, blah, blah. But I take a second and look at you guys' shoe game, and you guys need to step it up. Did you hear this quote from George Kittle?
I did hear the quote, man. And I got to say, I'm siding with the media on this one. The media, they're just happy to be at practice. They're happy to be in those press conferences asking the athletes questions. They're not thinking about their shoe game. I feel like I would be a part of the media not caring too much about my shoe game. So that's kind of my spin on it.
Hey, listen, and my take is when I'm at work, bro, I'm not trying to wear uncomfortable shoes just to look good in front of you, bro. Like, we know you make millions. Like, if you're a millionaire, by all means, you should have a decent shoe game. All right. So, but to the media's defense, when George Kittle is in the equipment room and he's getting ready to play a game or go out to practice or whatever the case may be, he's not looking to put on the flyest cleats, right? He's looking for what? Comfortability. Like, he's looking for the cleats that's going to feel good, that's going to allow him to, dig in the turf as much as he can, like have the best grip. Like, he's thinking about so many other things other than how these cleats are going to look on. 9 times out of 10, he probably going to cover them in tape anyways. You know what I mean? So by all means, man, come on, give the media a break, Kittle, because when they're at work, you're also at work. Everybody has uncomfortable shoes. Now, when you get out the locker room and you're trying to be all fresh, by all means, man, I get it. But there was some parody in there because he did call out one of the media members, and he was like, "Oh, what are those, Vans?" And the guy was like, "No, these are New Balances." He was like, "No, they're not. Those are Vans." He was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." So I was like, these guys got.
But that goes to my point in that the media, they don't even know what shoes they're wearing.
Yeah, they're not thinking about it at all. They're not thinking about it at all.
They don't care.
And to my last point, man, before we get out of here and we wrap it up, man, I didn't know Kittle was a sneakerhead. Did you know this?
I didn't either, man. That's news to me, but I guess good for him. We all have our little hobbies and things we like, so that's his thing.
Yeah, man. So with that being said, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what other kind of shoes George Kittle could break out, because as you know, I'm a bit of a sneaker guy. I don't wear all my sneakers. Obviously, like, the rotation is so large, you know what I mean? Like, I can't wear them all. But at the end of the day, like, if you're a millionaire, I feel like you should have some form of decent kicks. And I would never know because I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a member of the media wearing my New Balance Vans to work every day. So, Payton, man, this was a good conversation, man. I appreciate you for taking the time out your day to chop it up with me, bro.
Man, what are you talking about? It's a great conversation to have with you too, bro. Thanks for hopping on with me. By the way, just so the audience knows, we got week 0 coming up for college football. So
yes, sir.
Just let us know if you want to hear from us about that game that's coming up between Florida State and Georgia Tech, if you want some live content on it, because I'm looking forward to it. As Russ knows, I'm a big college football nerd, so I'm all about it. I'm here for it.
100%, man. I got my money on Georgia Tech, man.
Oh, outright to just take the win?
Yeah, Georgia Tech for the win, man.
Ooh.
I might have to lock that in because if I win, knowing that they're underdogs, I might win some money big, man.
That's what I was thinking, man. Yeah,
I'm always thinking about it. $10 into 10,000.
Yeah, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, no, you know, like I'm taking the first couple of weeks off. This is going to be my first year actually live betting, so I'm gonna take the first couple of weeks off, check the landscape, and we're gonna see what happens, man. We're really
no doubt. Super exciting time. So yeah, man, can't wait.
But yeah, man. As for myself and Payton, we are the Sportaholics. This was the weekend wrap up. If you haven't already, please make sure you're following us on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Payton is now working on the Facebook group, man. We want to continue the conversation in that group. So by all means, please join us. Please join us and carry on the conversation. We're here to talk sports all day, every day, man. Until next time, we are the Sportaholics. Payton, enjoy your night, man.
You too, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.